Thank you for tuning in to the Voice of the Victim podcast. We discuss a lot of sad and potentially triggering things on this show. We try to be as sensitive and cautious as possible, but if you are sensitive to things involving abuse and may be triggered, please think twice before listening to our show. Welcome to the Voice of the Victim podcast. I'm Rosie.
And I'm Ryan.
And I don't remember what you usually say after that.
Yeah, as you can tell, Rosie's taking the lead today. She actually wrote this outline that we're sharing. And
I did.
I don't know what she's talking about, but I heard it's pretty
you have a slight
intense. Idea. Right off the bat, we want to issue a disclaimer warning that this is more disturbing and graphic, at least to me personally, than our typical episodes are.
It's really, this is a really strange one, and I do want to thoroughly slap on the warning for people that are not good with graphic scenes. It's not our normal type of case because we're actually talking about an animal. I guess that's all I'm going to say right now. It's just different. It's just different, but it's still pretty graphic. So that's what you're going to get.
Well, before we start, let's read a review. The review is entitled Totally Addicted. It says, I'm addicted. I absolutely love this podcast. As a victim of abuse in every sense of the word, I can appreciate how sensitive Ryan and Rosie are to the victims and their stories. I like how the focus is on the victims and not on the perps. I also love how they can break it up with a little bit of lightheartedness. These are hard topics that are being discussed, and not many people can handle it. Sometimes a little giggle or a joke is necessary. Keep up the good work, Ryan and Rosie. P.S. I love the cat news. Oh, so this was recently updated, 11/20/20. I didn't know you could do that. Update your review.
Maybe she just copy and pasted.
It looks like pretty official to me, but
okay, I don't know.
It says updated 11/20/20. Still a huge fan. I listen religiously. You guys are doing great, and I'm so happy for you both. However, please stop referring to yourselves as a couple of dumb kids. I know it's just a joke or whatever, but neither of you are dumb, and you're not kids. You're both adults with adult thoughts and feelings. It's okay to voice your opinion. You don't need to follow it up with, what do we know?
That's so you.
Yeah, I know. Don't need to follow it up with, what do we know? We're just a couple of dumb kids. That's literally the only thing that gets to me. You're not kids. You're far from dumb. Other than that, keep up the great work. P.S. I hope you read my review this time. You skipped right over it previously, and that made me sad. Love you guys. 5 stars. That's from Exhausted and Underpaid on Apple Podcasts.
Love the name. This is funny.
Sorry we missed it before.
Yeah, I am sorry that we missed it before. That was not intentional. I'm not the one who says, what do we know? We're just a couple of dumb kids. That is all you.
I know. But I want to make it clear to our audience that I am not trying to be an authority on anything I'm talking about.
Right. I think we say that more because
it's damage control.
We don't want to...
Because I know how the internet works.
Yeah, and we don't want to assume or want you to assume that we feel like we're higher up.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Our opinion is elevated, because it's not. Also, I wrote this outline, and never did I once say, what do we know?
Well, good. We're off to a good start.
We're off to a good start.
Thank you for your feedback, Exhausted and Underpaid. We will take it to heart. I will take it to heart and work on that. This episode of Voice of the Victim podcast is supported by Best Fiends. We all have a lot of crazy stuff on our minds right now, but one of my favorite ways to get my mind off of all the stuff going on is by playing Best Fiends. You've heard us talk about it. It's a very fun game, and because of that, it's also very popular, with over 100 million global downloads. So if you haven't yet, maybe it's time you jump on the wagon and download Best Fiends. Best Fiends has found a way to be both very engaging and challenging, while also feeling laid back and casual, because none of us need more stress right now. So Rosie, what is Best Fiends?
Well, Best Fiends is a puzzle game. It's low stress. You can stop for a week and pick right back up where you left off. And while you play, you get to learn about little bugs.
Yeah, I do like how it takes you to the Wikipedia page for the bug that you click on. And those bugs are cute little characters you can collect to help you out solving the puzzles. They each have their own special abilities that you can upgrade. It's very cool. And bright colors. I love when a game just looks nice, you know?
Sleek.
Sleek. That's the perfect word for it. Best Fiends never gets old because they update it every month with new events. And Rosie, what have you got for us this time?
I never noticed this before, but those of you who already had downloaded it, there's a little present in your bottom of the screen left-hand corner. Click that once in a while, because usually you'll have a bunch of people send you stuff. It's in Buggle's post office. I got like 1 million gems. I'm super psyched about it.
Very nice.
And I can use those gems to amp up my powers for my little bug friends.
On top of all this, you don't need to be connected to the internet to progress through the game. So engage your brain with fun puzzles and collect tons of cute characters. Trust me, with over 100 million downloads, this 5-star rated mobile puzzle game is a must-play. Download Best Fiends for free on the Apple App Store or Google Play. That's friends without the R, Best Fiends. This episode of Voice of the Victim podcast is supported by Free Lunch Coffee.
Okay, I am so excited to talk about this new sponsor. I'm always looking for little and easy ways to make a difference, and it really can't get any easier than this. When you buy just 1 bag of Free Lunch Coffee, you're providing 10 meals to children in need. And Free Lunch Coffee gives away 50% of the money they make to end hunger in the lives of young children. How cool is that? There are children out there who really need our support, and it can be difficult and intimidating knowing where to start and how to help. Free Lunch Coffee is the easiest way to help. While you're enjoying your hot cup of joe in the morning, you're also helping feed hungry kids. Another great thing? Free Lunch Coffee has great coffee that is specialty grade, certified organic, and fair trade.
Free Lunch Coffee offers a 100% money-back guarantee for 30 days, so you have nothing to lose by trying them out. Right now, they're offering a 10% discount to you if you use their coupon code AWARENESS at checkout. That's coupon code AWARENESS at freelunchcoffee.com. So go check it out. Again, that's freelunchcoffee.com, coupon code AWARENESS. All right, Rosie, why don't you take over?
Oh, take it away. Tonight, we are going to talk about a woman named Charla Nash. Not a whole lot on her backstory other than the big story, so bear with me. What I do know about Charla Nash is that she's a real animal lover, and in her younger years, Charla was a rodeo girl. Wow. She rode horses, she was a tomboy, often called Charlie by her friends. She was so invested in the rodeo that she even won a rodeo championship. Wow. So I don't really even know what a rodeo championship involves, but I do know it's about horses.
She's good with horses, apparently.
And she loves horses.
I used to work with someone who was very into rodeo, had horses at home, but I don't work there anymore, so I can't ask her about it. So if anyone knows about the rodeo, we're very curious what winning a rodeo entails.
Yes, we are. Charla met a woman named Sandra Herold a few years later at a horse auction, and they quickly became good friends, bonding over their love for the rodeo. For over 30 years, they were friends. Later in life, Charla became an only parent to her daughter named Brianna. They moved to Stamford, Connecticut, and Charla lived comfortably.
Stamford, Connecticut. That's where is in the office.
Mm-hmm. Charla lived comfortably. Why can't I say that word?
Comfortably.
Charla lived a comfortable life working for Sandra's tow truck business. Sandra was also an animal lover. In fact, she owned a chimpanzee named Travis. Sandra and Travis had a very close bond. They ate meals together. They went on walks together. Sandra even dressed him in human clothes. Like, he was a real friend. Sandra had bought Travis from a breeder when he was just a baby. And in Travis's later years, Sandra even started feeding him like human meals, lobster and filet mignon.
Wow, she really loved that thing.
Yeah, but this caused Travis to become very obese. He, at the end of his life, was about 200 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they're what, like 4 feet tall?
Yeah, 3 to 4 feet, I think. But he was very trained. I mean, he even drank out of a wine glass. Don't know if there was wine in it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So in her spare time, Charla would sometimes take care of Travis for Sandra, just a few times here and there if Sandra had to go somewhere and do a couple of errands. Charla had known Travis for 10 years, but she always kind of feared him. She wasn't a huge fan of the chimp. On February 16th, 2009, 55-year-old Charla Nash was at Sandra's home watching Travis for her. Somehow, the 14-year-old chimp, 200 pounds, escaped from his cage and stole the house keys.
What?
Travis locked the back door and escaped into the garden. Now,
they're smart enough to know how keys work?
Oh, they're super smart.
Whoa.
No, the garden wasn't your typical garden. It was enclosed, and I have a feeling that Travis was able to go there for exercise and play. Charla obviously needed to get him back into the house, into his cage, and needed help getting him in there.
Speaking of animals, should we let Burrito in here so he can calm down?
That would be nice. Charla tried coaxing him back, but Travis was acting like a wild animal. Charla got really scared, and she called Sandra for help. Right away, Sandra came back to her house to help Charla, and when Sandra opened the garden door, her whole life changed.
This episode of Voice of the Victim podcast is supported by Mail Order Mystery. Rosie's very good at thinking of great gifts for people, but I, on the other hand, am terrible at thinking of things to get for people. It can be especially difficult when it comes to buying gifts for kids. You want to get something they'll think is really cool and fun, but for us adults, it's hard to keep up and know what they'll like. I know it is for me at least. But you can't go wrong with something engaging and interactive. And that's why I think Mail Order Mystery is so cool.
Mm-hmm. They create amazing and immersive mysteries. They're designed for kids ages 6 to 13, and they have hundreds of 5-star reviews from people who have tried and loved the adventures. The kid receives a series of letters, personally addressed to them from the characters in the mystery, and the story unfolds through these letters.
One thing I find particularly fun is the inclusion of classic fantasy characters like knights, trolls, pirates, detectives, spies, and of course, dragons. These characters look to the kid for help to solve their mysteries, and I can imagine the excitement I would have as a kid opening up an envelope with a typewritten letter and a burlap sack holding a mysterious key. I would have loved this.
Yeah, same. And it's very stimulating for kids, encouraging them to engage their brains and solve puzzles, ciphers, and connect the dots between clues, each one leading closer to solving the mystery. Each mystery comes with all sorts of curious objects, from old pirate maps and keys to newspaper articles, wax-sealed missions, fingerprint reports, spy handbooks, and suspect boards, making the kids feel like they are truly solving an important mystery or case. The final package contains an artifact or collection of keepsakes as a memento of the mail order mystery experience.
They are personalized and put together with care, with great attention to detail. But don't take my word for it. One 5-star reviewer said, "We got this for a 10-year-old instead of a physical present, and he loved it. Every Monday, he would anticipate the arrival of his package and would eagerly open it and review its contents each time. I highly recommend the Mail Order Mystery." So that's fun. Another 5-star reviewer highlighted the value of this gift, saying, "This is how to put magic back in my grandson's life." And I appreciate that because at a time like this, I can't imagine how difficult it is to be a kid. But this can help them escape to a world of fantasy without being captivated by a screen and keep their brains engaged and active.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I mean, this is the perfect pandemic activity.
Right?
You can read hundreds more of these reviews on mailordermystery.com. It was originally designed by a mom to get her kids off of the screens and thinking, reading, and problem solving instead.
So kids learn important life skills without even thinking about it. I think that's really cool. So go visit mailordermystery.com to see the different adventures they have available, from pirates and spies to fairy tale adventures. There's something that any kid would enjoy.
And if you use our code VOICE at checkout, you'll get 10% off. Again, that's coupon code VOICE at mailordermystery.com for 10% off.
Okay, this is probably where it gets pretty ugly.
Well, actually, I'm going to take a pause in the story right here. I know it's super fresh still and super in the beginning, but I wanted to talk a minute about keeping exotic animals as pets. Many of you know that I'm a huge animal lover. I mean, we own 3 cats.
As you can tell by the zoo that you hear in the background.
You can hear them right now. I even have a dream of mine that I'll someday stumble across a wounded squirrel and nurse it back to health, and then the squirrel will refuse to go back in the wild and stay with me forever. But
You would.
I'm also a strong believer that exotic animals should not be kept as pets. I mean, it seems so cool and crazy for someone to have a lion in their backyard and they're wrestling and hugging you, because you see that on YouTube sometimes.
Joe Exotic.
But seriously, it is so wrong. And I wanted to see how easy it was to buy an exotic animal online. Do you want to guess how long it took me today?
3 hours.
4 minutes. I timed it, and it took me 4 minutes.
Like, you can just order it online?
Like, there's a site. I'm not going to say because I don't want anybody to go on it.
Yeah. But, like, it's just you can order it online?
Yeah.
Anyone can buy one?
Yeah.
How much was it?
The baby giraffe I was looking for was like 14,000 or something like that.
Ugh. It's attainable.
I don't know how the transport worked. Like, obviously, I didn't click buy, but I found a baby giraffe for sale from Florida, and I could also get a 8-week-old mountain lion cub from Montana.
I feel differently when it's animals that have been rescued from like situations where they couldn't survive on their own in the wild anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I have a feeling that the cub didn't really have much of a choice. Or the baby giraffe.
What about zebras?
I'm sure you could get a zebra.
Rainn Wilson, who plays Dwight Schrute, he has a zebra mixed with a donkey. A zonkey, I think it's called. And since it's mixed with a donkey, it's not the same as like an exotic animal, but I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, well, to
I
me...
just don't care. I'm just kidding.
It scares me that with one click of a mouse, I could be buying a baby exotic animal. In fact, in 2013, in the U.S. alone, there was an estimated 19.4 million exotic animals being kept as pets. That's in the U.S. alone.
Where are they? Because I never see them.
Houses, basements.
That's scary.
Now, the term exotic, it can be a bit loosely used. Exotic in that case means anything that isn't like your normal pet, like fish, dogs, birds, gerbils, horses.
Well,
but
and not native to this country.
still, 19.4 million? It's crazy. And I even looked it up. In most states, it's perfectly legal to own your own chimpanzee or a ball python without even owning a permit. I mean, you can get some really crazy animals. Depending on what state
You
you're
don't
in.
need a permit? Like, you don't need an inspector to check out the confinement area?
Not for some
whatever?
states.
That's scary.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, for a quick example about the exotic pet trade that I wanted to talk about was slow loris, the slow loris. And I've already talked about slow lorises in the past.
Because they're the cutest things ever.
They are. I talked about them on my Fur Farm Fox episode. And I'm not even going to get started on my Fur Farm foxes. But maybe you'll remember around 2015, there was this huge trend of slow lorises as pets. Do you remember anything like that?
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing videos
Yeah.
on like Instagram and Facebook all the time of them.
Right, exactly. And most of the videos were of people tickling their slow loris. And it was super popular because when you tickle the slow loris, like their arms go straight up. And they just like look super surprised. If you don't know what I'm talking about, a slow loris is pretty much an adorable little furry critter with huge eyes, and they have markings on their face that make them look forever sad, but like in a really cute way.
Is it a type of sloth?
That is a good question. It's some super scientific family name. I don't know what it is. They come from South and Southeast Asia, and what's really neat about these guys is that even though they are slow, they have a great defense mechanism. They have super powerful venom. Their bite is fatal to humans. And they also slick their fur up with a toxin in their tongue while they're waiting to be attacked.
Wow.
So, now maybe you're wondering, how could a slow loris make a good pet?
With all those defense mechanisms?
Well, what many people decided not to look into or just turn their cheek to is that very answer. First, poachers steal slow lorises from the wild. In fact, thousands of slow lorises have been taken from their natural habitat, and usually whole slow loris families will be taken, broken up and sold to animal markets, black markets, or on the streets illegally.
So, in other words, it's not fair trade or
No.
ethically produced?
No. Second, since the slow loris is obviously not supposed to be a pet, poachers and the pet trade have to figure out a way to get rid of that pesky venom. So what they do is cut out their teeth by using nail clippers, pliers, or wire cutters without any anesthetic. If the animal survives that after all the blood loss and infection, then they're put into poorly ventilated boxes and transported in overcrowded conditions to different countries to find their new prison. Home. Oh, and many of them die during this process because they're not given enough food or water, and they're put so tightly into the boxes, so the ones that do survive are then accompanied by the dead bodies of other slow lorises.
What the heck? People might think they don't care because they're just animals, but it's traumatizing. Animals are smart enough to realize that type of thing. Mm-hmm. So this procedure, how does this differ from like getting the stink sack of a skunk removed? Because I'm pretty sure you are okay with skunk pets.
Not necessarily okay. I just follow that one skunk. But I think that was a rescue. But, still, it's not really my place to say if it's right or wrong.
For the skunk, they would have anesthesia.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and it's more of a surgery than like a plucking.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. That's probably
I haven't done
another episode.
Probably. I saw videos of poachers doing this. It was like one of those undercover missions, and it was terrible. They just hold it in their hand and pry its mouth open, stick their thumb in the mouth, and then start just ripping out teeth with normal nail clippers. It was terrible. And then just to debunk the whole tickling thing, when you tickle a slow loris, it puts its hands above its head not to be cute. It's actually because the slow loris is in defense mode and they're trying to access the venomous gland that's inside of their elbow.
So it's more like they're panicking.
Right. They're trying to kill you, essentially. They're trying to get that gland to start producing venom.
Oh my gosh. When you look at it that way, it's really
Isn't that so sad? Like, remember I was working on this episode and I was watching a video of the tickling and you were like, oh, it's so cute.
Yeah, that did happen. Mm-hmm. Well, that's good to know.
Okay, so that's enough about the slow loris. My whole point is that while you're listening to this episode, think about how this applies. The whole point why I decided to write this was because of how wrong the exotic pet trade industry is and to draw attention to that fact. It's just not right for so many reasons, and Charla Nash's story is such a good example of this.
So what happened when she opened the door?
Well, when Sandra opened her garden door, what she saw was beyond shocking. Travis, the 200-pound chimp, was brutally attacking Charla. Sandra immediately called 911, and we're going to play a clip of that call now.
We are? Oof. I heard a clip of this earlier, and oh my gosh, I had a really hard time. I asked you to turn it off because I was working on something else, and it was like that traumatizing. So try to imagine being Charla and Sandra in this situation.
And an extra warning, if you don't think you're going to handle it, then you probably aren't, because it's a pretty rough call.
Now's your chance to back out.
Stand for 911. Where's your emergency?
Oh, this is Sandy. 231 Rockrimmon Road.
What's the
Send
problem?
the police. Send the police.
What's the problem there?
The chimp killed my friend.
What's the problem with your friend?
Oh, please.
What's the problem with your friend? I need to know.
Send the police up with a gun. With a gun. Hurry
Who
up.
has a gun?
Please, hurry up. He's killing my girlfriend.
What is the problem?
He's killing my friend.
Who's killing your friend?
My chimpanzee.
Oh, your chimpanzee is killing your friend.
Yes. He ripped her apart. Hurry up.
With a gun.
Hurry up, please.
There's someone on the way.
With guns, please. You shoot him.
What is the monkey doing? Tell me what the monkey's...
He ripped her face off.
He ripped her face off?
He's trying to attack me. Please,
Okay,
hurry.
I need you to calm down a little bit. They're on the way. Can you put yourself away? I don't want the monkey attacking you.
Please, hurry up. Listen to me.
They're on the way, ma'am.
Guns. They gotta shoot him, please. Please, hurry!
Are you there with your friend? I need you to help your friend. Can you go help your friend?
I can't. He tried to attack me now.
Is he still there with your friend?
Yes.
Okay, so then back off. Then don't get any closer, okay? They're already on the way.
Please.
If the monkey moves away from your friend, let me know, okay? So we can try to help your friend.
No, I can't. She's dead. She's dead.
Why are you saying that she's dead?
She's dead. He ripped her apart.
He ripped what apart? Her face?
Everything.
He ripped her apart?
Listen, I think I'm going to faint. I think I'm going to pass out.
No, just breathe, okay? I'm going to stay with you on the phone until they get there.
Listen, please hurry. Please hurry. Oh, my God. They got to have their guns out. They got to have their guns out. Listen to me. Oh, my God.
Is this your monkey or whose monkey
Yes.
is it? It's your monkey.
No, it's mine.
How do you know how big is he? How many pounds?
200 pounds.
400?
200.
200 pounds?
Listen to me, please. Where are they?
And he's a chimp, correct?
Yes. Where are they?
They're going your way. They're going as fast as they can your way, okay?
Please go faster. Please, Dirk. Please.
Is the monkey still by your friend, or can you get close to your friend?
He's eating her. Please. God, please.
Okay, I need you to calm down for me. I know it's hard, okay? I know it's hard. But they're going as fast as they can your way, okay?
Oh, my God. Please hurry.
What?
I know.
What do you do in this situation?
I mean, can you imagine if you put yourself in Sandra's shoes for a moment and you've raised and bottle fed this baby chimpanzee and it's become your best friend. She lost her only child and she lost her husband. This is the only companion she has left. And she sees him literally ripping apart a friend who's watching him for you. I can't even start to imagine what she must have been feeling.
So this is a cautionary tale for people who are considering buying an exotic animal. I mean, can anything else exemplify that better than this? How does Sandra recover from this?
We'll talk about that later. Sandra locked herself in her car while she was on the phone with 911. She told the dispatcher that she was not safe and that Travis would be able to tear off the car doors. She was terrified that he would be able to kill her while she was in the car. She also told him that she tried stabbing Travis, but that only made him more agitated and violent. When the police arrived at the scene, the blood-covered chimp came up to the police car doors and started trying to attack the officers.
So this thing's really dangerous.
This thing...
How... Was it rapid, or did it just suddenly snap? Like, what happened?
That's the thing. I just think for a moment of being the officers that are arriving at the scene, and not only are they seeing body parts scattered around the yard, they're also seeing a chimp dripping in blood coming after you, trying to attack your vehicle.
Yeah, like, how are they even supposed to get out of the car?
It doesn't say exactly how it happened, but what I'm assuming is that one of the officers put their window down and just started shooting until it died.
Well, if they had multiple cars, one of the other ones could have shot at it while it was attacking another one.
Well, it did say that the officer who was, that the chimp was targeting to attack, that's the one who killed him.
Okay.
So they had the call. They knew that this thing had to be taken out.
Oh, like... The things that you don't ever expect to happen when you're a day at work as a cop.
I just could not imagine.
You never think that this is going to be what you're facing.
No.
Because there's a difference between a wild animal and a human. Mm-hmm. And that's probably your point with this episode. Mm-hmm. Wild animals are so unpredictable.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. After the chimp died, the emergency workers came on the scene, and they said that before even seeing Charla, they saw fingers and teeth scattered around the crime scene. There was literally a blood trail leading to where Charla was laying. When the emergency team rolled her over, They described her hands as looking as they went through a meat grinder.
Oh my God.
Every finger and thumb had been ripped off of her hand. Her mouth was completely ripped off, and her nose was literally hanging by a thread. Her upper jaw and both of her eyes were missing, and doctors found several chimpanzee teeth embedded in the bone that was remaining on her face. They also saw dirt and chimp hair embedded in her face. What was most shocking is that Charla was awake, not super conscious, but she was awake during this time.
What? So she was still alive.
She was still alive. It's scary because in that 911 call, her friend had been so sure she died. As the emergency workers, I couldn't imagine realizing, no, this person is they still have a pulse. They're still awake.
Oh my God. This has got to be such a traumatic event for a person to live through.
And for the people on the scene.
Yeah. But, like, even it's nothing compared to what Charla experienced. Like,
right.
Honestly, when you were playing that 911 call earlier, and even now, I feel sick to my stomach. I'm very uncomfortable listening to it. Like, I didn't even want to hear about it. But, I mean, that sounds so selfish for me to say, because she actually had to live through it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's that hard to just hear about it, I can't even wrap my mind around it. It's just, ugh.
Charla's daughter, then senior in high school, named Brianna, remembers being terrified when she went to the hospital. She had no idea what to expect, but she knew that her mom was a fighter. When her mom woke up from surgery, she was able to hold on to some hope. Charla recalls being amazed that she was even alive. She said, "I always had an attitude that whatever came my way, I would overcome it, and I wouldn't let it hold me back." Isn't that like, wow. I just can't believe how optimistic and powerful this woman is. Like I don't know what's worse than getting your face ripped off by a chimp, let's be honest.
No.
That's like next level insane. Months later, this was February when this happened, on November 11th, 2009, Charla was featured on an episode of Oprah. Now, I couldn't believe that she was in a good enough state to do this. Mm-hmm. It just seemed not even human to be able to go on a TV show.
Yeah, it had to take a lot of bravery.
Yeah. Charla was seen wearing a soft velvet blue tracksuit, and she had on a hat with a veil. She would wear a veil and a hat most of the time because she didn't want other people to see her. And remember, she can't even see herself. She has no eyes.
Oh.
But just by being able to feel her face, she has an idea of what she looks like. In the interview with Oprah, even with the veil on, I can see her chin and her upper lip, and her face looks so swollen, so tight and swollen. It must have been painful even to utter a word. Oprah asks Charla if she would be comfortable lifting up her veil, and Charla actually said yes, that partially the reason that she wears it is because she wants to spare other people. She thinks she's so
From
disgusting.
the shock.
Yeah.
That's
So
very thoughtful of her. That's so sad.
I know. Oprah walks over, takes off her hat and veil, and the sight is so shocking. I mean, think about it. February to November, how many months is that? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. It's about 11 months.
10.
10 months. I mean, her wounds are still so fresh looking. At this time, she had no eyes. She had no eyelids. It almost looked like one of her eyelids was sewn shut, but in the shape of her eye socket. Her nose was a piece of skin that was grafted from her leg. She couldn't breathe from it or anything. It was more of just like a bump. Her mouth was a slit cut into her face that resembled nothing like a mouth. There were no lips or anything.
Okay, I think I remember seeing her.
Do you?
Sometime in the past.
So Oprah asks her what she remembers about February 16th, and Charla said nothing. She says, "I remember nothing of the attack, and I wanted to stay that way." She was told if she starts having flashbacks and memories, that the doctors will be able to give her medications to assist with it. She wants nothing to do with the past.
So I would imagine that just the trauma that her body and herself experienced in this situation, her mind was just like, delete.
Yeah.
Like, this is too much to process
Yeah.
for a conscious person.
She remembers Travis. She remembers being afraid of the chimp. And she remembers a few other things. But Charla said she wants to move forward and get better and didn't see how remembering the past could help with that. She said, I don't want to wake up with nightmares. I remember that it was a colder winter and we had some more snow than usual. Oprah then asked her what she remembers about the chimp. Charla said that she was always scared of Travis, that she only had to feed Travis a few times, and the only other time that she had seen Travis out of his cage was when he was very young. Charla also recalls when Travis was out of the cage and young, he had pulled out a huge patch of her hair, and Oprah then asked her, Are you ever angry about what happened to you? Charla replied, No, I don't even think about it because I need to heal, not look backwards.
So how does she talk?
At that time, she could move her, if you want to call it a mouth, a little bit. She talked okay. I mean, it was hard to understand a little bit, but for what she had to work with, I thought it was really good. Oprah then asked her what she did worry about, and she said the only thing that she was worried about was her daughter's dress for prom because she was worried Brianna would pick out something inappropriate.
And she can't see it now.
Yeah.
That's kind of cute.
I know.
But yikes. Is there any more to it? Oh.
So later on in time, we're going to fast forward a bit. Doctors were able to offer Charla a full face transplant with 2 new arms. They have to do this all at the same time with the same doctor. I don't know if it has to do with the method. Oh, I do know what it has to do with. It has to be the same donor that provides all these things.
Oh, okay.
Brianna remembers thinking how exciting this was going to be, how it sounded phenomenal, and she was so happy for her mom. Doctors did all 3 transplants in one huge surgery. It took 6 hours to attach the arms, and next doctors carefully gave Charla a full face transplant. Together, it took 20 full hours for the surgery to be complete. Now, everything seemed to be going well, but soon after the surgery, Charla got pneumonia and sepsis.
What?
Because of the lack of blood flow to Charla's new hands, the doctors had no choice but to remove them. So she got her arms. They were taken away. She was left with 1 thumb on her right hand.
Oh my God. Can you imagine having that hope and then just it gets ripped away from you again?
I know.
Ugh. I feel so selfish saying this, but I feel so sick to my stomach just hearing about this. It's awful.
Well, how about this? Through all of this, Charla was still extremely grateful just to have the successful face transplant. She said, it brought my life back. This woman is so optimistic. I'll say it again. It just amazes me.
Yeah.
Charla
me too.
is blind. She has 1 thumb on her right hand and 1 prosthetic eye. Her other arm is cut off at the wrist, and she has a hard time talking and doing most everyday things, but still so positive.
Wow. Well, what a great role model.
Mm-hmm. I know.
This is unimaginable.
She's not able to live on her own. I don't know how that would have ever happened, but she's living in assisted living, even though she hopes to be on her own someday. She goes to physical therapy almost daily, and she also has the hope of getting another double arm transplant and a 2nd prosthetic eye. And her one big dream one day is to get back on a horse. And I really hope she's able to do that.
Me too.
And Charla is a real example of determination and strength. An interviewer asked her, to someone having a bad day, what would you say? And her response was, take your time, relax, take the day off, and it'll get better. It'll get better if you want it to get better.
Wow.
Isn't that just, I don't know, to me that was so powerful, because if she can make her day better,
Yeah.
we all can have a better day.
That's great advice. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that you need to make this day perfect. It's okay to have a bad day, like you talked about in past episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to have a bad day. Take the day to recoup and just heal. I mean, who would know better than Charla?
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy crap.
So this is where Charla's story is at the moment. I don't have much new things to say in her story. The last information I got was from 2019, so it's pretty up to date.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say that her strength and refusal to back down or feel sorry for herself really gave me a kick in the butt, because lately I found it so easy to feel sorry for myself about all the COVID restrictions and not being able to live normal life.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems so petty now to what Charla has to go through every single day. So she is just such a role model.
Yeah. Yeah, she really is a great example for all of us. So what about Sandra? What happened with her?
Believe it or not, this is going to sound crazy, at least it did to me. Sandra got a lot of hate for trying to kill her chimpanzee Travis.
From, like, animal lover people?
Just from normal people through letters and calls. She got huge backlash for this.
Do they not know what happened?
That's my question. It's crazy.
I mean, I can imagine her getting backlash for owning the chimpanzee in the first place, but not for trying to kill it after it ripped her friend apart.
Or getting backlash for doing nothing and letting the chimpanzee have its way. Like, wouldn't that be something that would cause more backlash than trying to stop it?
You would think. I mean, we can't say what these people were thinking, but it seems pretty illogical.
Sandra was interviewed by a local news center, and you can see the anguish and the sadness and despair that she's in. Like Sandra said before, she loved Travis, and Travis slept with her every night in her bed. He even combed her hair. Now, you all know my opinions about keeping an exotic animal as a pet, but to go after her with so much hate, verbal and in letter form, why? It doesn't benefit anyone. And how does that benefit her in any way? That poor woman lost both best friends. It just sickens me how cruel humans can be to each other. Yeah. Sandra obviously was way too trusting of this animal. I mean, the sad truth is that no matter how tame or trained these wild animals seem and can be, they're still just that. They're wild.
This is something to think about when you might be having an emotional reaction to something you see someone did. Mm-hmm. Like, try to get all the facts and understand the full picture before having a reaction, an emotional reaction to it. I don't understand how people could be cruel to her about this.
Yeah. She
obviously, if you listen to the 911 call, her life was being destroyed and she could see it happening. Like,
yeah.
Okay, what's next?
So I have this little clip of another interview, and this time it's just with Sandra talking about what had happened.
Some people giving these calls like I ought to rot in hell for killing them. I mean, here's something that was like my son. There's my best friend. It was in seconds, minutes. What do you do? You know? And then that I killed him. I did whatever I had to do at the time. You know, it was the most horrible thing that could have ever happened. And nobody would know unless they were in my place. And many, many people know the love that I had for Travis and Travis had for me. For me to do something like that, put a knife in him, was like putting one in myself. And then he turned around and like, Mom, what did you do? So nobody could know what I went through then and what I'm going through now. It's horrible. I mean, his blood going into his room where he was shot. Last night was he's not in bed with me. He slept with me every night. He would comb my hair. Everything in the house is for him. And it's a tragedy on both parts, for my friend and for him and me.
I find it weird that people said that she killed him, because It was a police officer killing him in self-defense. She didn't even do it.
You know, maybe it's because she tried, she attempted to.
But yeah, just they were showing pictures of Travis all dressed up while she was talking,
Mm-hmm.
and you could see how much she cared for him.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a little person.
She had him for 14 years.
Like, you can see the anguish on her face. Just,
Yeah.
she literally lost her best friend.
Her child.
Yeah, her child.
Mm-hmm. So I think you can tell from this clip and also just everything else we've talked about that Sandra was lonely. I said before, she lost her only child in death, and she also lost her husband. And though it wasn't right, Travis the chimpanzee became her sole companion and life partner. The things obviously went way too far, but she hated living alone in the home where she used to be with her whole family. She was constantly reminded of all the happy memories that she once shared with them. And now they were gone. And who was left? Her pet chimpanzee.
I'm glad you put this perspective in here, because I honestly didn't even think about this part of it.
For me, personally, writing this, it was like, why the heck did she have a chimp? Like, that was it. But once you put in the background, I think you can understand a little bit what was going on with her and why she had this animal. Well, why it went the way it did.
Yeah.
I don't know if the husband was letting Travis have the mignon and the lobster. I feel like those habits changed after she lost her close human family. Months after the attack, Sandra died from a ruptured aortic aneurysm. Sandra
I
Herold.
wonder if that was stress-induced from all the hate she was getting and from what happened to her friend.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny that you say that. First, I want to say that Sandra Herold died at 72 years old. Robert Golger, her lawyer, said, "The stress of handling a multi-million-dollar lawsuit and all it entailed weighed heavily on Sandy. In the end, her heart, which had been broken so many times before, could take no more. In a world where too many people strive just to fit in, she stood out as a true individual. She marched to the beat of her own drum and was proud of it." I mean, I just feel really bad. I felt so bad. Because initially I'm just like, what the heck? Why would she have this chimp? But now it's like, so messed up.
A good example of a bad example situation.
So to tie up this episode, I wanted to talk about one other video that I watched called Chimp Attack Controversy Inside Edition. It's about Travis's brothers, Connor and Kramer. Okay, so these are more chimps that we're talking about. And it's an interview with Jeannie Risotto. She is the woman who owns these two chimps, and with the help of her son Brandon, she raises them at her home. This video, I think that Sandra was probably a lot like this with her own chimp. The two chimps have their own bedroom cage. They each have their own individual cage. That's the bedroom, in a bedroom with a TV.
Okay.
They also share a big enclosure where Jeannie reads to them, plays with them, dresses them, and gives them different activities to keep them from getting bored. Jeannie said, "It's quite easy for chimps to get bored. At the end of the day, each chimp puts on a diaper, pajamas, brushes his teeth, and watches TV before they go to bed." Connor and Kramer come from the same father as Travis. That's how they're related. And I'm guessing that Jeannie wanted to do this interview to shed some light on how it's a good thing to have chimps and exotic pets. But listen to this next bit. The interviewer asks her, "What do you say to people who think that this just isn't right?" Her response, "Well, it's right for me."
Huh, that's selfish.
So, yeah, I think right there is the answer of why exotic animals is so wrong. Like Jeannie said it perfectly. It's not right for the animals, and it's not really about the animals. It's about her, and it's right for her. So bear with me. I'm sure that some owners of exotic animals really do mean well and think that they are doing great things with these animals, but
Well, that's the thing. And that's probably why we might get some harsh backlash on this for our opinion.
but who is it right for? The animal or the owner? Most exotic pets are bought when they're young and small and controllable, but a lot of them are dumped or killed when they're full size because the owner can't control and handle them anymore. Thankfully, there's rehabilitation centers and rescue centers set up around the world for these animals, and when the owners just can't take it anymore, they have a safe place to go. But like you said, I kind of think we're going to get some backlash on this episode too, so I'm curious about your thoughts and our listeners' thoughts on this subject. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm being too harsh and judgmental? What do you got?
Yeah, and I mean, we all have the right to our own opinion, and we want to apologize for upstairs neighbors very loud on the floor right now. When you consider this story and what happened, it's hard to justify wanting to own an animal that it's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
But like, she had him for 14 years, you know, she probably felt like, well, it's been 14 years, nothing has happened.
Of course. I'm sure she had absolutely no doubt in her mind that anything like this would ever happen.
And even for these people we talked about, Travis's brother, who was a lady, Gina Risotto, even for her, it's not going to be easy for her. She's already so invested. She's attached to these animals. Once you're in that situation, you don't see it clearly.
No, you don't.
You are attached to them, and you have a dependence on them too, because they're like your kids.
No doubt in my mind, Jeannie Risotto has a hard dependency on her chimps. She even had surveillance cameras in the bedrooms and the play areas, like 24/7. There's just a lot going on with Jeannie Risotto that slightly concerning.
But again, she doesn't have bad intentions.
No.
I don't want to put that on her.
No, I don't think a lot of them do, but it's when you think about it from the animal's perspective instead of your own that you should be asking yourself, is this okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting how you interpreted her words there. Like, it's right for you, but what about the chimps? What are they really feeling on the inside? Because I'm sure Travis seemed to Sandra to be loving it there, but it's obvious that he was suppressing something that was building up inside him, and he just flipped out.
Or maybe not. They're wild animals. Animals are unpredictable. Unfortunately, you have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
So, this is one of those things you could probably talk about forever, but I'm going to try to wrap it up here.
Good.
I want to hear everybody's thoughts on this. It's a really interesting topic to me.
Sounds good. If you're still listening, thank you for bearing with us during this difficult episode. I don't know if it's just me, but this episode's especially difficult. Mm-hmm. I think it's because of the graphic details.
Yeah.
Which we don't usually share, but these were kind of essential to the story.
I texted my dad in the middle of writing it and realized that I could barely type on my phone because I was so dizzy and shaky from the details. Like, it just really...
Yeah. Well, I think it's time for you to shake this story off because you've been buried in it all day.
Yeah, I think so too.
And, like, I'm glad that we were able to talk about it, though, because it's one of those put things in perspective episodes.
Yeah.
Which most of them are. But this one's just such a different thing from what we usually talk about. We're a little calloused on certain topics now because we do talk about them a lot. But this one
it's just out of the
ordinary.
ordinary.
So new for me. Like, I'm still physically upset about it.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. Do you have anything to say, Rosie? How are you doing? Like, we didn't talk about that in the beginning.
I'm good. Do you want to tell everybody my surprise for you yesterday?
Oh, yeah. Well, Rosie, she told me last week that she had a surprise for me on Saturday that was going to be a night in at home.
Obviously.
You know, COVID-friendly, winter-friendly. And that it would be several hours worth of fun events for us to participate in. So I come home and...
with a box of wine.
Yeah. And she tells me to knock at the door and wait and don't come in. And I open the door, or she opens the door, and I look, and there's streamers up in red and blue, two of my favorite colors. And there's... the first thing I saw was my Mickey Mouse hat on top of the shell jar And I was like, what? And then I look around and there's balloons. One of the balloons had your Mickey Mouse ears on them.
Uh-huh.
Looked like the mouse from Dismaland, if you know what that is.
I Sharpied eyes on the balloon and pointed it with the little tie nubbin, so it looked like a nose.
Anyway, it was a Disney-themed party.
For two.
Yeah. So we played Deal or No Deal and
Card game. It was a card
Jenga
game. Drinking Jenga.
to select a winner to win a mystery bag full of different Disney paraphernalia.
I didn't know what was in it. It was found at Walmart in the kids section.
So to the reviewer who said we're not kids.
Yeah, really.
Anyway, yeah, our friends with kids think we're weird.
It was so fun.
We are weird, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
You're
as
forgetting.
long as you're not hurting anyone.
You're forgetting the grand finale.
Yes, she had YouTube all booted up and ready to play the 2019 Disney World fireworks finale. It was an official Disney video,
Yeah.
too. It was, the Disney World fireworks, all 18 minutes of it.
Yep, and we waited till it was super dark and turned off every single light and watched.
And we didn't even sit on the couch. We sat on uncomfortable little
Stools to make it more realistic.
Yeah, because there is no comfort when you're watching the fireworks at Disney World. Anyway, it was very thoughtful.
It was so much fun.
And yeah, I really appreciated it.
It was a good time.
It was. All right. I think that's about it. So you ready to wrap this up?
I am.
Okay. Well, thanks again for listening. You can follow us on Instagram if this is your first time here at VOV Podcast, and also Facebook at the Voice of the Victim Support System. And of course, we're on Patreon if you want to support us there. All these links are in the show notes. Like we mentioned last week, we have a new Patreon episode about the Glen Sheen Mansion.
Yes, we do. And we're going to try really hard to amp up our Patreon game.
Yeah, we are currently working on our plan, but my goal is to release a Patreon episode every 2 weeks to ramp up to that. We're doing once a month right now, but we want to
amp that up.
Give our patrons more. So, yeah, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.